Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the Complaints singer, songwriter, guitarist Dean Petrella. Dean, how you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just chilling out down here in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Where are you at today?
I live up in Rhode Island, so I'm just outside of Providence.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's where I'm born and raised. And South Carolina, man, that's nice. We haven't been down there in years, but we used to play down in Greenville and Mount Pleasant and Hilton Head. Man, it's beautiful down there.
Yeah, you got to make your way down to the House of Blues there in North Myrtle. They probably love you there.
Yeah, definitely, man. We used to do the Carolinas a lot, but lately we're a lot more northeast, kind of Maine to New York City, and then I spend a lot of time performing in Nashville, so it's kind of where I fly down there usually for a week at a time, a few times a year.
Cool. So tell me about your musical background. When did you first get involved in music?
Yeah, so I grew up in a house. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and everybody did something, sang a little bit, or we always had a piano in the house. My mom and dad came here from Italy in the early 50s, and my dad was an Italian disc jockey. He had a radio program, so we always had music around the house. So I started fiddling on the piano as as little as I can remember. Mm-hmm. And I took some lessons kind of, when I was like 8 and 9 years old. And that was kind of it from there, man. I started writing songs young, and I started getting in bands by the time I was 13, 14. I've had the bug pretty much my whole life.
That's awesome. I believe every band or artist is influenced by someone. Who were some of your influences?
Yeah, so again, being the youngest of five, I always got some really cool influences, like the singer-songwriter 70s kind of guys, really big part of me, Elvis Costello and Graham Parker and Tom Petty and Neil Young and early Springsteen and a lot of the Beatles, of course, probably like most people. But yeah, so like I said, I had four older siblings to influence me, so I got a lot of good stuff in me for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Now, tell me about the band, The Complaints. When did you guys form, and who were the players?
So we've been the same three guys for over 20 years, and there's only three of us. So the drummer's name is Anthony Marotti. He plays drums, percussion, a little bit of background vocals. The bass player's name is Cruz. Plays bass and background vocals. And then myself, Dean Petrella, guitars, lead vocals, keyboards when we're recording and stuff like that. But yeah, we've kind of been a singer-songwriter power trio, going back more than 20 years, kind of influenced by like the Police and those types of bands that, can make a lot of sound for three guys but really always based on the songwriting, not just kind of not the punk end of it, more of the songwriting end of it, if you will,
Mm-hmm. Your latest album, Chasing Light, can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah,
so that's our fifth full-length album.
Mm-hmm.
Real excited about it. It's the first time that since COVID, I started doing a lot of co-writing with a good friend of mine. His name is Joe Matera. You'll see his name all over the album.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives close by, so we were writing together. And then COVID hit. We started writing via Zoom. He and I have written close to 80 songs in the last couple of years.
Wow.
And he wrote most of that album with me. I think 7 of the 8 songs he and I wrote together. So it's kind of the first time I had an outside influence, but it's been really, really good. Real happy with the songs. Getting really good response when I perform them down in Nashville. Just started some radio promo, starting to see a little bit of traction. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah, I've been playing the CD that you sent me. Thank you, by the way. It's awesome. I really love it. I'm going to give.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to give one of the copies to one of the listeners. So I'm going to keep one for myself, and I'm going to mail one out to one of the listeners, one of the diehards that always listen to the show. I think they'll enjoy it.
Awesome.
Now, this podcast is going to feature 2 tracks off this album. That's What You Get and Looking for Liars. What's the story behind those songs?
So That's What You Get was actually one of the first songs that I wrote with Joe Matera, the guy I was telling you about. We kind of started, we've known each other on and off for more than 20 years, and then he's kind of resurfaced coming to support me. He actually started to come to see me in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And when he told me he dabbled in some writing, we started texting each other some ideas, and he had this That's What You Get as an idea of kind of like, spend your whole life working and trying to do all these things, and life's kind of passing you by, and limited amount of time. So I took to it right away, and he sent me like a few lines and a melody, and I picked up the guitar, and we wrote that one quickly. So that was one of the first ones Joe and I wrote. Kind of it's one of those songs, it sounds a little dire when you get through the verses and stuff. When you get to the bridge, it really tells you like, hey man, you're not dead yet, so it's like, it's supposed to be a little bit inspirational to make sure you're doing what you want to do with your life,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and that one gets a great response. Like I said, I've been doing that one live down in Nashville quite a bit. And Looking for Liars was, it was one of those songs that kind of wrote itself. It was kind of the opposite of what I just told you. I had those chords and the chorus idea for Looking for Liars, and I brought it to Joe, and I said, I'm not sure what the song is, but I know it wants to be called this, and it sounds like this, and it, just kind of a story of denial, how sometimes people meet each other, and you find yourselves in precarious situations, and it's kind of interesting if you start from the beginning of the story to the end. It's almost like the narrator is kind of judging the girl he's singing to, but by the end he's saying, I guess I'm just like you, and I do all those same things,
Mm-hmm.
kind of denying the truth and looking for liars.
Great songs. Now, how do you approach songwriting? What's your creative process like?
Yeah, I mean, it can go a lot of different ways. I mean, my whole life from notebooks now to phones. I mean, I just, watching a movie, you hear a line, someone says something, I'm just always jotting down ideas. Same thing with the guitar. I've got, hundreds of hours of guitar ideas on my phone. But like I said, now that I've been doing a lot of co-writing, what's been nice about it is it kind of forces you to finish stuff. If you're working with somebody, I think a lot of times in the past, like I said, with Looking for Liars, I might have an idea and a melody and a chord, and then I just never finish it. When you're working with someone, it kind of forces you to sit down and really kind of, try to get it to the finish line. So I'd say the songwriting process has kind of progressed through the years in that way. And then really, usually I bring the stuff to the band, and then we put the band touch on it. So that's kind of where the songwriting, kind of hits its final stride. But yeah, it's been great, man. It's still a great part. We really enjoy the process,
Mm-hmm. Now, do readers or listeners take away different things from your songs than you intended?
It's funny. I think sometimes they do. And I've learned through the years that, I think that's okay. If things mean certain things to others, to me, that's kind of the power of music. If you can interpret it and what it makes you feel. And sometimes it's interesting because on some of the earlier records, people would say, "Oh, the songs are great, but they can be sad, or they're depressing, or they're not positive." And I say, well, sometimes a song is just meant for release, right? So you're just capturing a moment in time, right? It doesn't always have to have a Hollywood ending to it, right? Mm-hmm. It can just be a matter of just emotion to say, hey, I feel like this right now, and this is an outlet to get it out. You know what I mean? So certainly, however people interpret that, to me, that's just one of the beautiful things and power of music, right?
Mm-hmm. Where do you draw inspiration from your lyrics?
Life, people. I'm a people watcher. Art, like I said, sometimes you're watching a movie or you're reading a book. I've always been infatuated with kind of words and how they play off each other. Sometimes just a phrase, like we were talking about Looking for Liars. To me, just standing alone would intrigue me if I was a listener. I'd be like, what is that? Why? Those are interesting combination of words going together. So I'm kind of always been a word guy. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, life, art, everything is inspirational to me.
What is it about music that makes you feel passionate?
Boy, that's a good question, huh? I guess, again, getting back to the childhood and the early starts, I mean, I guess it's the first thing that I don't know, for me, that was just an outlet, just an outlet of, I don't know, of energy, negative, positive, joy, sadness, anything on the spectrum. It was the first thing to, in my life that was just, since I was a little kid, I can remember just sitting at the piano, dabbling and just, picking me up. You're feeling sad or something, you sit at the piano and it kind of brings you joy. So mm-hmm. I just saw an old, I think it was on Instagram. It was an old clip of Tom Petty. I'm paraphrasing, and I'm sure he said it more eloquently, but he was basically saying, music is the only form of magic that he's ever seen that really, really exists, right? It's really magical, just kind of what it can do for you and how it can make you feel. And, it's really, really hard to explain what and why it is, you know what I mean? But it certainly has a certain power, and I've always been attracted to it.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have any shows coming up that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we so we're up in Rhode Island right now. We do a residency every Wednesday night at a cool little bar called Escada, ESCADA. So that's a neat little kind of local show that we do every Wednesday night. It's about 7:30 when we're in town. We're going to be in New York City this weekend on the 14th at the Red Lion. That's always a great gig. And then, if you go to our website, thecomplaints.com, we're everywhere from Providence to Vermont and everywhere in between.
Cool. Now, what can the fans expect when they go see the Complaints live at a show?
Great question. It depends a lot on kind of the venue. Like we've been doing a lot of showcases for the new album, but some of the venues we play, there's not as many places to play and make money nowadays as there once was. So a lot of the clubs we do, we play for a couple of sets. So we'll throw in some cover songs, especially some of the college bars. They love that kind of stuff, and it's a nice way for us to meet people in new areas. We we cover everything from Elvis Costello to Nirvana, to the Rolling Stones to Bruno Mars. So we take great pride in three guys being able to interpret great songs. And that's kind of growing up how we always made money was, playing cover songs. So we, something that we always love. We love to perform, live. So that's definitely something you'll see at shows. There's some interesting things like that we put in. Sounds like a fun time. Now, will you release a music video for any of the singles off this album? I'm not sure. It's a great question. The short answer is hopefully so. I'd say it's one of the areas we don't do a good enough job on, being totally independent and between time and gigging and recording and it's hard to get all the right stuff in. But yeah, we're definitely due for a video. So I'd say the short answer is yes. I just don't have a definite date for it yet. Yeah, even a lyric video would do the trick. I think a lot of people are doing those now. Yeah, and I think if you go to, we use a company called The Orchard that does a digital distribution. So it doesn't have the lyrics, but I think if you go to YouTube and look up any of the songs, technically, like you can see, you can hear the songs on YouTube, and it shows the album cover. Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely some lyrical videos and some other things. They're on the list of things we got to get to for sure. Cool. Now, do you have a website that you'd like to promote? Yeah, the website's just thecomplaints.com, and it's got some photos of the live gigs on there. It's got the schedule and different links to get the music on Spotify or Apple Music and all that stuff. So it's just thecomplaints.com. Awesome. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today? No, I think you get most of it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, again, we've been around a long time, and we're completely independent. I mean, we record ourselves. We do everything ourselves. We're definitely the definition of independent, and we proud of it and still try to, kick down doors and do everything we can to keep rock and roll alive. That sounds good, man. Well, Dean, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really dig this album. I think it's great, and I hope everybody goes out and gets a copy of it. Good luck with all the shows coming up, and hopefully one day you'll make your way down to Myrtle Beach, and I'd love to check you guys out live. All right, my friend. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. You're welcome, man. You have a great day, all right? You too. Take care. All right, bye-bye. Bye. Well, it's too late now to go back somehow. Move along. I'm already gone. How can you
Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Howell Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.